Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda, and I am here with my November wrap-up. I am filming this on Friday, November 1st. If you know me, you know I like to maximize days that I put makeup on, so I'm doing a bunch of videos today. But also, it's very convenient because we are in December now. This will come out next week. It'll be like the, I don't know, 5th, 4th, something like that of December. And so I would like to go through November. November was an odd month for me reading wise. I think two things happened. One, I overcommitted myself because I was trying to do Indigenous Readers Month, and that was not success. Not that I didn't read good books. A good book. I actually didn't read, but well, I'll get to it. And nonfiction November, and some other things happened, and it didn't end up being especially successful for me. I think I overbooked myself. But also, if you saw my wrap-up video last week, I had, as you have seen this past weekend, as I'm filming it this coming weekend, 2 book discussions that I had to read a book for, and I got both books from the library, and things happened. I didn't get them as soon as I thought I would, so there was like a rush at the end of the month to get them done, and that kind of messed me up too, but c'est la vie. It's all good now. So let's get down to it. Again, I have everything up on my screen here, so I'm going to be looking over. Sorry. In November, I read 15 books, but I also DNF'd 2 books. Now, one of those 2 books, which was Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney, was a soft DNF. It has nothing to do with the book, and I will be reading that book in the future. It's just, I started reading it, and it was at the beginning of November. And I just felt like, I read a lot of thrillers, horror, that, high adrenaline books in October, and I want to take a little break from it. And I knew that this was not the right book at the time. So nothing to do with the book. I'll pick it up again in the future. The second book I DNF'd was a very, very, very hard DNF. And that was Between Summer's Longing and Winter's End by Leif G.W. Person. This was going to be a read along with Jennifer. Jennifer loves books, but we both hate it. We couldn't get through the first section, and we're like, pfft. And if you go back to a couple, weekly wrap-ups ago, you can see me have an existential crisis about DNFing and my monkey brain and all that. But there you go. Okay. From that, my average rating was 3.7, which is like between a B+ and an A. So that's good. And format breakdown. 8 of my books were in print, 6 were ebooks, and I finished 1 audiobook this month. And it was a reminder to me that I need to be careful with audiobooks. Audio is not my priority reading choice. I don't want to say it's not my preferred, because sometimes it is my preferred. There are books that I really think are better on audio, but it's not my priority reading. I prefer to read with my eyes. So it's just one of those things. It takes me a long time to get through audiobooks. So I need to learn that if I'm doing something like Nonfiction November or Indigenous Peoples, where I kind of have other books kind of stacked up that I need to read, that audio is not probably the best way to go for me. Okay, my genres. 7 were general fiction. 4 were historical fiction. I had 1 mystery. And then I had 3 nonfiction, 1 true crime, 1 self-help, 1 history. Is that right? Something like that. And of the books I read, there were 5 that I would consider classics. And those would be The ABC Murders by Agatha Christie, Skin by Roald Dahl, which is a short story collection, The Way We Live Now by Anthony Trollope, In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, and A Christmas Memory by Truman Capote. And I had, how many did I have? I had 5 short story collections. Roman Stories by Jhumpa Lahiri, which I have somewhere. They're right here. Let me hold that up so I don't have to add a graphic. Roman Stories by Jhumpa Lahiri. Skin by Roald Dahl. The English Understand Wool by Helen DeWitt. Saints and Sinners by Edna O'Brien. And A Christmas Memory by Truman Capote. Now I'll go through these books by grade. My lowest rated grade this month was a C, and I gave that to, I'm sorry guys, I gave it to Yellowface for reasons that I explained in my recent weekly wrap-up. It had nothing to do with the message. I applaud Kuang for the message. It had to do with a book fed into a really big pet peeve of mine. Character-wise, plot-wise. It was a mechanic thing, and it's totally pet peeve. It just wasn't a book for me. I gave a B to 2 books. The first was Platonic, How the Science of Attachment Can Help You Make and Keep Friends by Marisa G. Franco. It was fine. It wasn't groundbreaking, but there wasn't anything I can complain about. But it was fine. And then the other one, and I said this in my weekly wrap up, and it still applies because booktube time is weird. As I'm filming this, I have not yet had my book club discussion, but the other one was If I Had Your Face by Francis Cha, and I'm reserving the right to change the rating on this book after my book club discussion. Still kind of processing this one, and I think my overall thought will be affected by a discussion. Okay. Then I had 3 books that I gave B pluses to. The ABC Murders by Agatha Christie. This is the tie-in for like an adaptation with John Malkovich as Poirot, and it's got Ron Weasley in it. I think he's playing Hastings. Not sure, but I think he's Hastings. I'm not sure because I haven't watched this, because I have heard that the adaptation is horrible. I do want to say about this. The personal things with friends going on. I've talked about it in my videos. I had some friends who were dealing with some challenges. So my mind was probably not in the best place when I read this book, and I did give it a B+, but this one really is going to benefit from a reread. Just cause. It's just maybe kind of the wrong time. And then the next 2 that got B pluses were The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams and The Bookbinder by Pip Williams. The Bookbinder is for one of the discussions that I am having tomorrow, or as you see this last weekend, or actually it's one day, with the Book Cougars. But the Pip Williams' previous book was The Dictionary of Lost Words, and the 2 books are connected. They aren't actually book and sequel. There's overlap between the 2. You could read The Bookbinder without reading Dictionary of Lost Words. I personally, having read both, think I would have felt like I was missing something had I not read the Dictionary of Lost Words first. That's just my own take. So this was interesting. Dictionary of Lost Words. My feelings were, it had some problems. The scope of it was too big. It bounced around too much. I wanted it to be a little more streamlined in what it was trying to say, but I was really moved by it at the end. I gave it a B+. And I said, I hope that The Bookbinder, which was Pip Williams' next book, she kind of fixes some of the issues I had with the Dictionary of Lost Words. So then I read The Bookbinder, and yes, she fixed those. But I was still more moved by the Dictionary of Lost Words than I was by the Bookbinder. So I just gave them both a B+. Just, there it is. I'm just kidding. Just, there you go. I don't know what to do with that. They're both B+. So I had 5 books that got A's. The first was Skin by Roald Dahl, which is a short story collection. And then The Way We Live Now by Anthony Trollope, which took me for freaking ever to read because I stupidly decided to read it in print. And this print is teensy tiny and it was too much for my eyes. And I could only read it for about half hour a day before my sight was blurry. Classics I'm now reading, e-readers. This might get an audio reread also in the future because I kind of feel because of that, it kind of got a short shrift for me because of the difficulty of me actually reading it. And then the next one was The English Understand Wool by Helen DeWitt, which apparently is the book that no one can get their hands on. I got my copy through the library. It took me like half an hour to read this book. It's not long. It's basically a short story. But when I requested it from the library, a short story, I was on hold for like 12 weeks because there were that many people requesting it. Apparently it's next to impossible to find in stores. And it's a weird amorality tale. It is definitely worth reading. It is going to cause you to really think about things and question things. And it's one I am going to have to read again in the future. But I'm going to wait till the hype dies down a little bit, or at least until I can get a copy a little easier. But yeah, if you want to be like the cool kids, you should read The English Understand Wool by Helen DeWitt. And then the next one was another short story collection. It was Saints and Sinners by Edna O'Brien. This is the first Edna O'Brien collection I've read. I enjoyed it, and I plan to read more of her in the future. She reminded me somewhat of Alice Munro, if you want kind of a anchor to put that to. So I will be reading more of hers. This was also the book that convinced me I need to purchase my short story collections instead of getting them from the library, because I'm always afraid that I won't finish it before it has to be returned. So there you go. And then finally, my last A book was Haven by Emma Donoghue, which is the book that Jennifer at Jennifer Loves Books and I did end up buddy reading. I really enjoyed it. It has low ratings on Storygraph and Goodreads. There's a lot of reasons for this. I do think this is a cilantro book. Some people like it. It's not really a cilantro book. It's a Marmite book. Some people like it, some people don't. A cilantro book to me is a little bit different. It's like some people love it and some people find it soapy and gross. I wouldn't say this is soapy and gross. I just don't think it works for people. It is very different than a lot of Emma Donoghue's other books. And I do think that my experience was greatly enhanced by doing it as a buddy read with Jennifer, because we were able to talk through it as we went. And this is a book that packs a lot of substance into not very many pages. So yeah, if you are an Emma Donoghue person, and not everybody is, that's fine. But if you are an Emma Donoghue person and you haven't read this, I would encourage you to give it a try and let me know what you think of it, because this is only the third Emma Donoghue book I've read. And the other two that I read, which were Pull of the Stars and Learn by Heart, were very much like birds of a feather. And this was completely out in left field. And I liked all of them, but I just want to know, like, if you have more experience with Emma Donoghue, what you think of Haven. So I had 4 A+ books, which is fantastic. I had Roman Stories. Roman Stories, fantastic book. I love Jhumpa Lahiri. Read this book. And then I had In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. And then I had Just a Moment. I forgot a book again. Man, I keep thinking I'm organized and I'm not. My third A+ book was Mortal Monarchs, 1,000 Years of Royal Deaths. Is that how I put it? Yeah, Royal Deaths by Dr. Suzie Edge. I'm adding the doctor because she is a doctor. She worked hard for that degree. She should be called that, even though it is a medical doctor and this is a history book because she went back to school to become a historian. It's all very unique. She is a delightful person on TikTok. Look her up. Highly recommend this book. I am a history person. My degree is in English medieval history, but English history. So I didn't learn really anything new historically about this, but I learned a lot of medical stuff. This was also part of my nonfiction November, and I have that later, so I'll get back to it. And then my last A+ book was A Christmas Memory by Truman Capote. Now, if you were to tell me that I was going to find a classic author and like totally fall in love with him, I would not ever in a million years think it would be Truman Capote, but there you go. I'm apparently a Truman Capote stan now. So yeah, I have his books coming. So read along and events. So of course, November is nonfiction November. My computer's going weird. And in nonfiction November, you had 4 prompts. The first one was fraud. And for that one, I have a stack of books here and it's still not here. I don't know where it went. Okay, I'm back and you missed a lot because I just like tipped my camera over and everything. Let's talk about nonfiction November. My first book is the one I have not finished yet, and that is Jesus and John Wayne. This was for fraud. I'm still reading it. I had to put it aside at the end of the month because I had those 2 other books, and now I'm crooked. Hold on a sec. There we go. Those 2 other books, If I Had Your Face and the Bookbinder, that I had to get done. So this had to go to the side, but now I can get back to it and finish it. So that's still in progress. And then for web was Platonic, because web of, friendship's a social web. That's why I thought about that. Gave that a B. Capital was going to be Democracy Awakening or Democracy Awakens, whatever, by Heather Cox Richardson. But it took me so long to listen to Platonic that I didn't have time to do another audiobook. But then I thought, you know what? Hey, capital punishment in cold blood. It worked. So this is my capital book for capital punishment. And then display was Mortal Monarchs because sometimes they displayed the dead monarchs was how I started with it, but it actually ended up being even more perfect than I thought because there was a lot of talk about like how monarchs, how they are remembered in history as a reflection of how they were perceived as monarchs at the time. Really fascinating. Again, love this book. Now, Indigenous Writers Month, and I don't have this book. I am not running upstairs to get it. I'm sorry. I had plans. I had like 4 books I planned to read. Didn't get to any of them except for the one that was already in progress, which I still haven't finished, which is Never Whistle at Night. It's a short story collection. I just bit off far too much than I could chew in November. That just happened. So I will try to put some more Indigenous reading than I usually do, because I do read a lot of Indigenous reading books throughout the year, to kind of catch up in December. And I feel bad about that. So now I know next November, I need to think about this and maybe try to find Indigenous nonfiction books so I can like kill 2 birds with 1 stone and then feel like I accomplished something. Okay, now we'll get to my stats. My reading goal was 144 books. As of today, I have read 174 books. So that's 30 more than my goal. So obviously my goal was a little bit low. What I am planning to do is when 2023 is over, I'll look at the number of books I have and find the difference between that and 144. And that will be my goal for 2024. What I am trying to do is find sort of the good number where I am going to hit that goal somewhere in December. And I have not yet found that number. So we'll see how it goes. That's what I'm planning to do for next year. Now, as for my TBR count, the numbers aren't going to add up to what I have said earlier for 2 reasons. One is I did a little bit of a purge with some of my print books, which is good. It needed to happen. And 2, in prep for 2024, I started going through my spreadsheet and starting to clean it up. And I found some books that didn't get sort of crossed off as I read them, so they were still being counted. So don't try to compare these numbers to what I said above, because it's not going to work out. But my owned TBR, that includes print, digital, and audio. My husband is down eating lunch. Is 828, which I know is horrible, but that is actually down 8 books. That's like, it's been a long time since I've been down on my total TBR. 8 books from last month. My print, I have 228 unread print books, and that is down 2 from last month. Again, it's been a long time since I've gone down on the print and the owned TBR. Now, for my Kindle, or my ebook, I'm at 521, which is down 4 from last month. Down 2 to 160 on Kindle, and 2 down to 361 on Kobo. The Kindle ones I didn't actually read 2 Kindle books this month. Those were books that I had read previous months that didn't get marked off, so they were still being counted as owned in my spreadsheet. That was one of those things. So yeah, that's November, and now it's December. I'll be like doing a post on my December goals this month. I'm trying to figure out exactly what they are going to be, and that will probably come mid-month. So December is going to be a lot of sort of planning and looking back posts. I may not be doing any tags this month just because of that, but we'll see. Maybe a tag will come along that works into that. I do have some tags where I have been tagged that I still have to do. You'll probably see those in January. So anyway, that's it for now. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Feel free to join my Discord down below. It's a great place to have conversations and get to know each other a little bit better. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.